Hey guys, welcome back. So this week has been focused on viability testing of the final prototype. So the goal is to find as many friction points as possible to adoption to get a realistic view of what I'm up against and also to see what resonates with people so I can double down on that. So this week started off with a field trip for my son's first grade class to the zoo. I was able to go to that, be there with him and enjoy all that. So that's one of the great things I think about having a startup, running your own schedule is that freedom to participate in things like that. I think that's just a good reminder to take your time and enjoy yourself along the way. This is a long journey. So by the end of last week, I pretty much have the whole flow prototyped out. And so I've been working on chiseling that away, getting it to a point where I can present it to people, and then working on getting these prototype demos scheduled and having them. So luckily for me, my target market is anybody who's working for a company, remote especially, but even if not, there's a commonality there that I can tap into. My preference is to have them in person. I think when I'm sitting with somebody, can see their eyes, see their clicks, there's a lot more insights and discussion we can have. But next best is a Zoom call, which is also really helpful to get that real-time feedback. And then the last case is still good, but recording a video so that they can do this asynchronously and send feedback back. Some people just are too busy or, it's just easier for them to participate that way. And I want as much participation as I can. So who am I getting? I'm getting my close friends from different work cultures. I'm also looking at people who used to work at Mailshake, the startup I founded last. Anybody who's left Mailshake, I feel like I know them. I know who's good at giving feedback. I know that they're likely to work in companies that match the target market because Mailshake is pretty prime target. And then also organic interviews that I'm able to get on social media or through the landing page. And then finally, referrals from friends. Anybody who can kind of reach out and say, you should talk to this person. Those are all great leads on getting these demos. So to manage this process, I've just been keeping my information in Notion, just like a nice table of people I've reached out to, people I want to reach out to, where they are in that process so I can follow up with them later. And I've gotten two types of feedback basically. There's the user experience feedback and then there's sort of product insights. Here are some of the great things I've been learning. So first of all, the org chart idea that I had and is part of the team page is really, people are liking that view and they're finding that interesting, but this could be an actual friction point because people may see this and think, oh man, I have to keep this in sync, with my actual org chart that they may already have, or if they don't have an org chart, having it synced up with their HR software is a potential hurdle for them. So I've ripped that out. I think maybe that's something that could be an add-on feature later, or maybe it's something you opt into so that it's not there when you first sign up and making you feel like maybe I don't want to do this, but it's something you could add to it later. I found ways to make entering information faster for those teammates when you are adding like your existing team, saving the email domain that they sign up with and making the email address when you add a teammate have that pre-populated so that you don't have to enter that part of it. Also killing the team-specific intro video. So, we have hello videos where we welcome somebody who just comes on. We have our introduction video about ourselves, which is more like 1 to 5 minutes. And then I also had a team-specific introduction you could do optionally to say, maybe you want another intro that's tailored to your team. I think that's a great feature, but I think having it on day one of the product is muddying the waters of what the product does. And then also making that teammate screen nice and fast to skip onboarding for people who you're just adding a teammate. You're not adding them to do onboarding. Like they've maybe been in the company for 6 months and they just haven't been added to the system yet. So making that flow fast as possible for those people. Okay, and then on to the product insights. I guess first I should talk about, how I'm going into these demos and what's my mindset. So I'm really trying to be open-minded, and I'm trying to listen really carefully. Some of the things that people say are frustrations they may have with something very specific to their situation, but so they may not be applicable, but you might still get something out of that, just a feeling that you might want to ease or something like that. And I'm not really asking these people, would your company buy this? I mean, I am, but I'm not pressuring, and I'm only asking these kind of questions is to saying like, how would your company buy a piece of software like this? Like, what were the steps? Do you have to walk it up to HR? Can you test it out yourself? Can people kind of just install any software they want and then ask their managers to pay for it? How do we get into that buying cycle? And then, so here's some of the product insights that I got. I got a whole bunch of them. One person's company, they send a mass email to everybody when anybody is hired. So this is like an email that's like this long. There's pictures, there's facts and things about the new hire that they ask them to fill out. To me, that's great, but I do think that it would get numbing pretty quickly. And I'm hopeful that this product can replace that process for them and make it much more engaging and kind of a two-way street. One person was really hung up that the existing teammates who are being asked to do this hello intro have not gotten a video back from the hire first. Like they want it to be kind of reverse from what I'm doing. I'm much more interested in making that new employee land, and I think that they would feel intimidated to record a video for their whole company that they haven't even met yet. It's a good example of smart feedback that just may not play into how you want to do it. So it's important to be able to kind of ignore certain things. And I get some examples of specific people who aren't going to do this or are going to drag their feet doing this. And I think it's just good to be reminded of those personalities do exist. So how can you do the best that you can with it? One thing that became clear was the value to the company and the managers is getting people up to speed faster. That's a big selling point. Lots of people have meet and greets that they schedule, and we can either eliminate those meet and greets, or we can maybe just make them warmed up and more productive, or reducing the number that you need. Maybe you still have those meet and greets, but now instead of 12 people, maybe it's more like 3 people. Importing from HR systems is something I know I'm going to have to do at some point. I've been pushing it off until post-launch and all that stuff, but it is getting clear to me that it's going to have to happen sooner than later, because the second you reach a certain size of your company, entering these names manually is just going to be too much work. On the marketing side, I got some really good insights that this company should be a warrior for inclusion. It should be selling the idea that we want remote workplaces to be more connected. We want all different types of ideas and perspectives. Some people have told me to prepare for seed money because of how fast they see this growing. That's great feedback. It makes me feel good, but it's a good time to talk about ego. I'm not at all focused on that kind of thinking. It's fun and it's exciting to think about how great something could be, but nothing has happened yet, So keep your feet on the ground. And I also feel like I can run this thing myself with some smart outsourcing until at least $1 million in annual revenue. So there's plenty of time to see what might happen. You never know what the trajectory of the company is going to be. And then also great ways to see if this idea is working. Like, how am I going to be able to tell that we're making progress, creating value for these companies? I think one really good insight I got was, does the participation percentage go up over time? When a new hire comes in and you schedule these playlists, what's the participation rate? Are you getting like 30% of your team making these videos? Does that increase as new people come on and they received that onboarding process? And maybe they're going to be more apt to do it for the next person. So if that participation goes up, that's a really good indicator that, this product is proving value. Also, I'd love to find a way to hear about a new hire's first week. Maybe we can trigger a marketing campaign around that since we know the start date. Maybe we can even ask the hire themselves. We have to kind of be careful about that. Finding ways to do that would be really great to figure out how our value is proving itself. The 2 new flows that I built this week are the sign up and the settings pages. So here's the sign up. I actually wanted to do a magic link style login, like where you just have an email address and we email you a magic link. But I did some research on Twitter and people love passwords. It just seems like that's not really viable right now. Anyway, so on the right side, I've got social proof. Some testimonials will stand here. They create their account, and then I want to walk them through this process. I want to welcome them. I want a video that kind of aims specifically at the role that they choose to teach them maybe a good way to do a pilot or some concepts they should be thinking about as they're getting set up. And then on the next page, I want to get a little bit of information about where they come from. It's a friction point for people, but I also really could use this information. I think it's worth asking. So first name, last name is just part of the whole profile. You need to have that. But the HR software is really important because in a future phase, we're going to want to do integrations with these apps, and we need to know which ones are going to be the big hitters. And then I really want them to focus on their intro video. This is the meat of the site. So it's something that's really important, and they can set an example for the rest of their team. So I want this to be front and center. You can skip it, but I'd like them to record their intro. It's going to open up a pane to do this, and then it's going to come back into this. So then they'll hit continue. And then I'm asking them to bring in their existing crew. So if they're going to maybe test this with 5 people, they could add some of those teammates here, maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then pretend to hire one of the other ones. So I've made this as simple as I can. I'm taking the email address they signed up with and using that as the domain. So that way, if they choose their company domain, they only have to enter the first part, which just saves a lot of typing. And I made sure to make the job title optional because I've taken off the start date because I just think that right now we just want to get people into the app as soon as they can. And then that's it. And then the other set of screens here are the setting screens. And you may not think this is super critical to having a prototype demo, but I do think it's important to start getting a sense of how is a team going to customize this for their own use and to what depth are we going. We've got a company name that's going to be part of the onboarding for a new employee. The work email domain is going to help them add teammates faster. Same thing with the logo for the branding whenever you bring in a new hire. And then you got your personal settings like your email address, whether or not you're going to get notifications from us, and a way to change your password. On the permission side of things, this has helped me think about, what kinds of people are going to be involved here. We're going to have an owner who's going to be the billing contact, and then we're going to have a series of managers that you can pick from the organization, people who are able to add new teammates. And then customizations, I think it's going to be important that the companies feel like they can control the emails that go out, especially for onboarding. So you can kind of choose what kind of tone you want, whether or not it's like exclamation points or it's more dry than that, more serious, I guess. And then each one of these emails that goes out, being able to customize these paragraphs, I think is going to be really important towards reducing hesitation. And then I really want, there's got to be a way to delete your account. It needs to be straightforward and easy. I want it to be, want you to take your time doing it, but and I want to make sure you know what you're missing out on. So I'm trying to make it clear that there's a lot of stuff that you're going to lose here. This is probably going to need to get dressed up over time, but I wanted something in there for the first run. Okay, that is it for this week. Next week, I've been scheduling a lot more prototype demos, so there's going to be more of this to come. And we're getting closer and closer to that point of maybe starting to build. If you're interested in providing some viability feedback to me, please, I would love to hear from you. So please reach out to Colin, Colin, at newteammate.com, and we can either schedule a demo or I can just send you a video asynchronously if you'd rather do that. So you can check the description of this for some details on that. Thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week.